Globally, 264 million people of all ages struggle with depression. In Canada, approximately 8% of adults will experience a bout of major depression at some point in their life. And unfortunately, the news is worse for adolescents, as approximately 34% of high school students are currently struggling with moderate to severe symptoms that can negatively impact all facets of their daily life. Hi everyone, I'm Trevor Sullivan, and today I'm going to discuss part 2 of my step-by-step plan for managing depression. Before we get started, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. And if you're watching on YouTube, click the alert notification. That way, when we make more videos like this, you'll get notified. To bring us up to speed, I'll begin with a quick recap of the first 4 steps of my plan for managing depression, before continuing with the last 4 steps, which I'll be covering in depth today. So for starters, it's important to begin with a plan for the day. When mood's low, it can be difficult to get moving, and having a plan will help to give you some direction. Second, be sure to take care of the basics. If you have a car, you need oil and gas and regular tune-ups to run well. As humans, we're far more complex, and we need lots of clean water, healthy food, and regular exercise to function well. For my third step for coping with depression, I encourage you to chunk time to get started. Low mood often leads to low motivation, which makes it even easier to feel overwhelmed. Committing to doing something small for a short period of time can help you to get moving and create some positive momentum. And fourth, make simple adjustments with your body on a consistent basis, such as smiling more, increasing the tone of your voice, and maintaining good posture, as it can all help to improve your mood. Now for the 5th step in our plan, and the first strategy for today's video, I encourage you to prioritize time each day to focus on what's going well in your life. Generally speaking, most people are in the habit of thinking about what they have to do, focusing on things that aren't going well. Very little time, if any, is spent thinking about the good things in your life. Not surprisingly, it's hard to maintain a positive mood if the majority of your time is spent thinking this way. To help change the thinking pattern, I'd suggest spending even as little as 5 to 10 minutes a day focusing on what's going well in your life. When I do this, I like to start with things that are most important to me in my life and work my way towards the smaller ones. I'm going to go over my list, but as I'm doing this, I encourage you to add to it and make your own adjustments. First, start by focusing on health. This could be physical health benefit, a mental health one, or even a cognitive benefit, such as being able to think clearly or not having a notable struggle with memory. We often take these types of things for granted. They can be very challenging if there suddenly becomes a significant difficulty in any of these areas. Next, focus on the freedom we enjoy as Canadians. Once again, this might seem a bit difficult to appreciate until you take a closer look at the restrictions of freedom that occur in many other parts of the world. Then, often focus on the positive relationships in my life that I enjoy with family and friends. This is usually followed up by positive things I'm able to do during the course of the day. And this could be things such as meeting with clients who are willing to open up and share about their daily lives, or someone who allows me to help them overcome a difficulty with an issue or achieve a goal. Next, often think about a hobby I enjoy, or even small miscellaneous things, such as a Netflix series I might be watching at the time that's really enjoyable. Speaking of that, I highly encourage you to have something in the immediate future, even a long distance or long-term future that you can look forward to. So what you focus on helps to determine how you feel. For the 6th strategy, it's important to set aside time to manage negative thoughts. Imagine something you might be thinking, this could be a new full-time job, especially if your mood's dipped notably as of late. But the goal here isn't to challenge every single negative thought that enters your mind, but rather, just to take time when it's available and address the most common negative thoughts you experience. If you never take time to challenge your negative thoughts, essentially you're accepting them as if they were true. And if you get into a consistent pattern of accepting negative thoughts, you can expect your mood to suffer. But in the spirit of evidence-based treatment, let's take a quick look at a study that examines the effectiveness of cognitive therapy on challenging negative thought patterns. In a 2010 study by Dr. Daniel Strunk and colleagues, they had 60 study participants who were diagnosed with major depressive disorder. And they had them engage in cognitive therapy and behavioral therapy with a therapist. Cognitive therapy involves tasks such as challenging negative thoughts and running thought experiments. In other words, just testing to see if your negative thoughts are mostly true or mostly false. The study also had participants engage in behavioral techniques, such as participating in enjoyable activities. Results showed that cognitive therapy led to improvement in depressive symptoms, and the improvement they found in the study was superior to the benefits they got from behavioral techniques, although the behavioral techniques were also effective. So, needless to say, cognitive therapy works. Now, let's create a plan to utilize it. For a first step, it's important to identify negative thoughts. If you're going to challenge negative thoughts, it's best to start by simply identifying them. This is where a thought record can be helpful. Over the course of several days, I encourage you to set aside 5 minutes a day. Just write down the most common negative thoughts you experience, including a rating for the frequency and the intensity of the thought. For a second step, I want you to accurately define the negative thought you're struggling with. Or said another way, if you're going to insult yourself in your head, you might as well know what you're calling yourself. Let's say a common negative self-talk statement is, "I'm so stupid." Well, we might as well ask Google what stupid means. And according to our friend Google, stupid means having or showing a great lack of intelligence or common sense. You might be thinking, okay, maybe that's true. It may not seem so bad until you dig into the synonyms. And synonyms are words that mean the same thing as stupid. On the list, we've got terms like brainless, slow-witted, idiotic, and moronic. Well, that's a little harsh and probably inaccurate, which leads us to our next step, which is what's the evidence for the thought being true or false? Personally, I love the word evidence. Not enough to ever consider becoming a lawyer, mind you, but anyway, for our purposes here, evidence means this. To the best of my knowledge, is this thought mostly true or is it mostly false? Generally speaking, you're going to find that most thoughts are primarily false. And on occasion, you may find that there's a little truth to a negative thought. And that's okay, but label it such. It's just a little true in this case. That's much different than simply accepting a negative thought as being completely true all the time. Now for our fourth step, let's look at how to manage negative thoughts that are mostly false. In this case, really important to replace a negative thought with a more accurate positive thought. And keeping with your example, your self-talk could be something like this. I'm not stupid. I just didn't know. Or, I just made a simple mistake. That's okay. It happens. Now for our fifth and final step, let's look at how to manage negative thoughts that are mostly true. There's inevitably going to be times when you examine negative thoughts and you come to the conclusion, damn, that's true. For example, let's say you're caught in a lie and you have the negative thought, I'm a liar. Well, first and foremost, lying once doesn't make you a liar. Because by definition, a liar would be someone who lies all the time. So in this particular instance, I lie to be the negative thought that's true. It obviously doesn't feel great, so what do you do with this statement? Drowning in this thought for an excessive period of time isn't going to help you. And there's nothing wrong with feeling a little pain, such as feelings of guilt from the thought, but the guilt is meant to serve as a signal. Simply learn the lesson from the negative situation. Once you're done with that, the goal is to let go of the guilt and resolve to not make the same mistake again. And you might be wondering, well, what do you do in a situation where you have a negative thought, or what you perceive to be a negative thought, that you simply can't change or learn a lesson from? For instance, let's say the thought is, I'm too short. Well, if you're an adult in Canada and you're well under the average of 5'8.5" for males or 5'3.5" for females, I'm afraid the numbers are against you on this one. This leaves you with one positive choice. Accept the positive thought, do your best to make peace with it. And in the case of being short, of course, the next step would be coming up with reasons about why being short doesn't have to be seen as negative or interfere with the quality of your life in any way. Accepting things we can't change can be difficult, but it's an important skill to work on to help improve mood. For my seventh strategy, I encourage you to use mindfulness during the course of your day. Mindfulness, also known as mindfulness meditation, may bring to mind the thought of someone sitting cross-legged, arms outstretched, index fingers and thumbs creating circles, all the while chanting at regular intervals. And for those of you who are interested in this form of mindfulness, it works. For those of you who aren't, I'm going to go over the basics that you're going to need to achieve the benefits of mindfulness very shortly. But first, let's take a quick look at the science. More specifically, we're going to look at a meta-analysis also known as a collection of studies that are statistically analyzed together. In a 2014 review by Dr. Madhav Goyal and colleagues, they examined 47 different mindfulness studies. And they found that not only was mindfulness effective at treating mood, but also happened to be just as effective as taking an antidepressant medication. So that's a pretty strong endorsement. And using mindfulness, it doesn't need to take too much time out of your day. Studies show that as little as 10 minutes of mindfulness can improve learning, reduce pain, and reduce worrying. And I'm willing to bet my firstborn that as little as 10 minutes of mindfulness would also be helpful in improving mood. So let's take a look at the 3 primary components of mindfulness. For the first step, get into a comfortable position and breathe from your diaphragm. Mindfulness doesn't need to involve sitting. In fact, there's studies that show that mindfulness can be effective when standing, jogging, or even washing dishes. The key is to get into a comfortable position and breathe slowly and deeply from your diaphragm. For the second step, it's important to have something to focus on. To maximize the benefits that you can experience from being mindful, you're going to need an anchor, or said another way, something to consistently focus on. An anchor can be just about anything, as long as you're locked onto it. It could be a picture on a wall, it could be an image in your mind, an intent focus on your breathing, and so on. And for the third and final step, it's important to avoid engaging with your thoughts. So now that you're comfortably breathing and you're locked onto something, an anchor of some sort, the goal is to let go of your thoughts. This can be tough, given that we're always thinking about something. So the goal here is simply to allow thoughts to come into your mind and avoid judging or engaging with them in any way. Instead, simply treat them as thought bubbles that are showing up in a foreign language that you're unable to understand, that are just floating on by. If you find that difficult, stay focused while doing this, just quickly remind yourself you've got 16 waking hours in a day to deal with your thoughts. So you can afford to take 10 minutes off. Then, simply acknowledge that you've drifted a little bit and return your focus to slow, deep breathing, locking onto your anchor, and avoiding engaging with the thoughts. For our 8th and final strategy, I highly encourage you to get good quality sleep each night. Proper sleep, in my humble opinion, is the most overlooked aspect of mental health. It appears that the good people of the United Kingdom might agree with me on this one. In a 2017 study by Dr. Yihong Fang and colleagues, they conducted a survey with 30,500 people in the UK over the course of 4 years. The results of their study showed that improved sleep quality led to dramatic improvements in mental and physical health. As a matter of fact, they found that experiencing better sleep for their study participants was equivalent to winning $250,000 in the lottery. Now, I don't know if that finding would hold true for everyone, but at the very least, it helps to highlight how good quality sleep can impact mood. So let's take a quick look at some of the core components that can help you to achieve a good quality sleep at night. For starters, have a sleep routine that includes at least a 1-hour wind down before bed. Next, go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. This includes weekends as well. When going to bed, keep your room dark. And also be sure to keep your room quiet, but feel free to use white noise or a fan if this helps to block out distracting noise. Next, remember to keep your room cool. A little below room temperature is a good target. Always avoid ruminating, which is excessive thinking or worrying at a problem or issue. It's also a good idea to have an interesting, stress-free topic to focus on if you're unable to fall asleep right away, so you don't end up focusing on worrying. If you're unable to sleep within the first 30 to 45 minutes, get up for 5 to 10 minutes and grab a drink of water, or take a washroom break to help break up that inevitable pattern of frustration that sets in when you're unable to fall asleep. Do not check your phone for the time or just for something to do. The world will still keep on turning. And avoid checking the time, as this is probably going to lead to doing mental math, which is figure out how much sleep you're going to get if you fall asleep this instant. And do not put too much pressure on falling asleep. This is going to take you further away from relaxation, which is ultimately what you need to fall asleep, and not to mention the relaxing you get is still beneficial. And lastly, let's take a look at Dr. Bra, the medical director of the Valley Hospital Center for Sleep Medicine in Ridgewood, New Jersey, for guidelines on how much sleep we should be aiming for each night. The amount of sleep he recommends for the different age groups across the lifespan might surprise you. For starters, they're newborns who need 16 to 18 hours a day. Next, they're preschool-age children who need 11 to 12 hours of sleep a day. This is followed by school-age children who should be looking to get at least 10 hours a night. And next we have teens you should be sleeping 9 to 10 hours a night. Adults, ages 20 to 64, should be getting 7 to 9 hours. And finally, the elderly, ages 65 and up, should be getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. So make sure you don't skip on sleep. It's crucial for good mental and physical health. So to provide a quick recap of my 8-step strategy, first, it's important to start with a plan for the day. When mood's low, it can be difficult to get moving. Having a plan is going to help give you some direction. Second, be sure to take care of the basics. If you're a car, you need oil and gas and regular tune-ups to run well. As humans, we're far more complex. We need lots of clean water, healthy food, and regular exercise to function well. For my third strategy for coping with depression, I encourage you to chunk time to get started. Low mood leads to low motivation, which makes it even easier to feel overwhelmed. Committing to doing something small for a short period of time can help me to get moving and create some positive momentum. Fourth, making simple adjustments with your body on a consistent basis, such as smiling more, increasing the tone of your voice, and maintaining good posture, can all help to improve mood. For my fifth strategy, I encourage you to spend 5 to 10 minutes each day focusing on what's going well. What you focus on influences how you feel, so it makes sense to prioritize time to focus on the good things in your life. 6, make time to challenge negative thoughts. If you don't challenge negative thoughts, essentially you're accepting them. And most of us, we're going to contend with a number of automatic negative thoughts each and every day. My 7th strategy, I encourage you to weave mindfulness into your day. If you find this difficult, start with just a minute or two during the day and then build from there. For my 8th and final strategy, prioritize getting a good night's sleep. Most of us simply don't get enough sleep. And if sleep's a challenge, just start by making a point of going to bed and waking up at a consistent time each night. So I hope you found these strategies helpful for creating a daily plan to better manage feelings of depression. If you did, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel by clicking the subscribe button below. And if you ring the bell, you'll be notified the next time we release a video. And of course, feel free to like and share this video, as well as leave a comment. If you're experiencing challenges implementing the steps in this video, please contact us at Sullivan Associates Clinical Psychology. Thank you for watching.